So over the last 6 months, a lot has changed here at the offices of the Cauble Group, Parasol, and Hamilton. We've actually acquired over $25 million worth of real estate and have nearly $60 million worth of development and construction going on, mostly in East Nashville and Madison, but also we've expanded out to Chattanooga. So I figured it would be kind of fun to break down the projects that we've acquired and how we went about that process. When you're going through a process like that, obviously a lot for me has changed. I started off as a commercial real estate broker, slowly started moving into brokerage and property management, and now I'm focused almost full time on investment and development projects, which is where I've been working towards for years. That's where most people that get into commercial real estate want to be. It's come with a lot of new and interesting challenges. I feel like I'm constantly raising capital for all of our projects. If you are interested in investing in our projects, give me a call. Let's have a conversation and talk about it, because we've got some really cool stuff going on, as you'll see in some of these projects that I'm about to show you. So keep in mind that these are only the projects that we've acquired in the last 6 months. It's not nearly our entire portfolio, but I wanted to show you guys what we have been able to accomplish so far in 2021. So there are 4 projects that we've acquired so far for that $25 million. Okay, so we've got Madison Square, which is a 32-acre shopping center. We've got the Provisionary, which is several acres on Dickson Pike that we are planning to redevelop. There is Newell Tower out in Chattanooga that we acquired to do a new mixed-use project. We're actually redeveloping and renovating that tower. And then I acquired a small little office building at 1100 Douglas just because it's in East Nashville and the opportunity was there. Okay, so let's start off first with Madison Square. So as I said, Madison Square is a 32-acre shopping center that currently has about 330,000 square feet of retail on it. Now, there's 4 buildings that make up this parcel, and a couple years ago, the city actually rezoned it to mixed-use general alternative, MUGA, which is a very high-density zoning, which of course is very desirable for a redevelopment. Now, we're planning on keeping the shopping center there in the near term. We have leases that we have to abide by, so we're currently just maintaining the shopping center. You know, during COVID, it actually fared pretty well. A lot of people are kind of surprised that, wait, retail did well during COVID. Yeah, retail did just fine. I mean, we've got, I guess, over 92 or 95% occupancy at the shopping center right now on 330,000 square feet. That's a lot. But it's on a major thoroughfare just south of another major thoroughfare. And we're not even 15 minutes from downtown Nashville. I mean, I think it's like 12 on a good day, which is amazing for this city because traffic's getting worse and Madison is also rapidly growing. It's just on the other side of East Nashville from downtown. So as East Nashville has grown up, which y'all know that's where we do the majority of our projects, as East Nashville grows, people are moving out into Madison and doing the same thing out there. We see this site as eventually being the town center for Madison, which to me is really exciting because we get to bring something that will be the heart and the core of the neighborhood. So this project was actually the largest that we've ever taken down. It was $18 million. So I put it under contract back in August and got to work finding a partner that was large enough to help me take it down. So I ended up partnering with a group called Artesia out of Austin, Texas, and they really helped bring in the horsepower for us to take down this project. And I'm kind of the boots on the ground overseeing the redevelopment and the day-to-day management of the property. So what I love about Madison is just the long-term potential that it brings to the neighborhood. You know, back in the 60s, Madison Square Shopping Center was the shopping district north of downtown Nashville. It's actually where you went to go do your shopping before going to town. You know, you're going to town shopping. So after retail got overdeveloped in Madison back in the 80s, Madison started to kind of fall off the radar. And now it's starting to really get revitalized, and this is really a key piece to that happening. There's a lot of exciting development going on around it. We have the Madison Station Boulevard extension, which is going right next to our property. That's putting in this beautiful roundabout and connecting 2 major thoroughfares. Right behind us, Music City Roots is building a barn for I think 1,000-person event and concert venue, which is really exciting. And there are a number of other projects going on in Madison very similar to that. So it's exciting to be a part of that revitalization. So not too far down the road in East Nashville, we've got several acres of land on Dickson Pike, which in my opinion is the best corridor in Nashville. It has the most potential to be one of the city's hotspots because it actually has large enough parcels to where you can create density along the corridor, and it hasn't been developed for quite some time. It actually fell off back in 1965, after Interstate 65 was developed. So Dickson Pike used to be the major thoroughfare, going from downtown Nashville through to Chicago. It's where all the musicians came into town and stayed because it's not far from the Grand Ole Opry. But when the interstate was built, people stopped driving down that street, and so slowly the businesses started to kind of die off and it fell into disrepair. So the amazing thing about it is that there's nothing really to redevelop. You've got all these smaller kind of auto buildings and stuff like that, and you're minutes from downtown Nashville. In fact, we have a phenomenal skyline view. Most of the properties along the corridor have a phenomenal skyline view. So over the next decade, I think it will become one of the most highly sought after corridors for new development in Nashville. The acquisition on the Provisionary was just over $5 million for the acreage that we ended up getting there. We acquired this land. It's actually right next door to the Dive Motel, and there are actually about 2,000 apartment units that have been announced right near us, which is pretty exciting to hear. I mean, obviously when you buy land, that's always a good thing. We had originally planned to do about 200 apartment units on this site, and after hearing announcement after announcement after announcement, we decided, you know what, let's not compete with everything going on in the neighborhood. Let's go create something different. So my good friend and partner Jamie asked me to go down to Huntsville to take a look at this project called Stove House, where they had taken this old stove manufacturing facility and created this really cool courtyard filled with smaller restaurants and a bar, and it just had this really cool outdoor amenity space. And so when we went and looked at that, I said, you know what, can we do this on the Dickson Pike site? And that's when the Provisionary was born. So I can't share everything about that project, obviously, because it is still underway. We haven't announced most of what's happening there. It's going to be a very unique development for Nashville, featuring many micro offices. So, kind of that 150 to 1,000 square foot office space. We're gonna have a basically reiteration of the car wash that I'm redeveloping into micro restaurants. So we'll have some micro restaurants on this site, which is really cool, basically an outdoor food hall, as well as several bars that have rooftop views. So we're really excited about the potential on that corridor. Not to mention the fact that you can walk to the Dive Motel. You're right down the street from my favorite coffee shop, Retrograde Coffee. So it was kind of a no-brainer for us. So over on Gallatin, we've got 1100 Douglas Avenue, which I purchased because it's actually immediately next to the wash, the car wash that we're redeveloping. So when that came available, the seller actually called my brokerage to see if we would be willing to list it and sell it for them, and I decided I might as well buy it because it actually helps kind of round off the block and the frontage there. And I figured we'd be able to do something very unique with it. It is a corner lot with a commercially zoned home there. To me, commercially zoned homes are just a special product because they tend to stay full, and it's not really something that's going to be built again. A lot of people aren't going out and just building commercial properties that look like old homes. So I thought that was pretty unique. We ended up putting Daisy May Hat Company in there, which is a company that I invested in. So excited to be moving them from Goodlettsville to East Nashville. They fit in right with the market. I mean, Gage handcrafts every single one of his hats. Clearly I'm wearing one right now. Big fan of hats. I was actually a customer before we invested in that company. But one of the biggest draws of that site is that it has the largest grandfathered in billboard for signage for the tenant of like almost any property in East Nashville. It's kind of crazy. So when we threw the Daisy May Hat Company sign up on that billboard, he started getting walk-in traffic almost immediately because it's right at this intersection that gets thousands of cars a day driving past it. And so it's just such great marketing. We paid $480,000 for the house. It's about just under 1,300 square feet, 2 stories. And the long-term play there, honestly, it's not like that site can really be redeveloped. To me, I'm just big on East Nashville. So if I can get as much property on this side of town as I possibly can and put as many cool businesses in there as I can, that accomplishes 90% of what we're trying to do here. And that's another unique thing that we have going for us that many other firms can't do, right? I mean, we've got an $18 million project and we've got a $480,000 project. We're willing to be flexible as long as it kind of fits our mold of contributing to the neighborhood and being where we want to be. And of course, East Nashville. This year, we also expanded out of East Nashville and went to Chattanooga. It's about 2 hours away, east of Nashville. And that was our first foray out of the city. So we're really excited about that. I've actually been trying to get into Chattanooga for a couple of years now. We finally found a project that was large enough for us to take down. That was the biggest thing. right? Because if you're gonna go invest in another city, you're going to be distracting yourself to some extent from what you could be doing down the street, because it's not very easy for me to just go 2 hours to Chattanooga to do one thing and then come back. I mean, we have to plan a whole day out there. So I knew that if we were going to be doing that, we'd have to have a project of scale that really made sense for us to work on. That's where Newell Tower came in. So Newell Tower is a 9-story office tower that was actually started off as the Park Hotel back in the early 1900s. The county then converted it to office space back in the 80s, and we acquired it last year for $1.8 million, which in my opinion was a great deal, right? That's about $43 a square foot. It also came with an annex building, which is 3 stories, that housed the county IT center. So there's a lot of technology in that space. I mean, actually several $100,000 worth of infrastructure that normally isn't in a commercial building. So we're really excited to go find a tech tenant for that space, because Chattanooga's gig city, right? They've got the best internet in the country. And so we figured, you know what, if we have the opportunity to go find a tech company that wants to take the entire building and reutilize that existing infrastructure, what a great opportunity. So we're located right within the Innovation District, which is a really cool part of town, obviously. Innovation District, so it's very entrepreneurial, very hip. There's not a lot of living space in the area. So we decided to convert 6 of the floors into micro apartments, so around 400 square feet. We're gonna keep 2 of the floors as micro office units, so we'll just be renovating those. And then on the ground floor, we're actually gonna add in a cafe, kind of a coffee shop. We're actually bringing a group from Nashville to Chattanooga. And then in the back space, there were no windows, but they had all of this glass storefront back there, which I thought was really unique. So we tried to figure out what we could do with that space. And I was walking down Main Street in Chattanooga one day, and there was this glass blower that just, on Main Street. And he just had his glass garage door open. And we kind of walked up and just watched him blowing glass for a little while. And I thought it was really fascinating and cool to see that, we could be kind of a part of that process. And so I decided, well, why don't we just make this into maker creator space where people can walk through while they're drinking their coffee and look at, the guy making hats or the guy making custom boots or custom suits. So that's what we're doing with the backspace there. So Newell Tower, just like the land that we're buying for the Provisionary and Madison, was a syndication. So I put a general partnership together. We went out and raised the capital from individual investors. 1100 Douglas was smaller, so I just brought in two money partners on that deal. But that was how we ended up taking that project down. We're finalizing our design and hope to get construction going here pretty soon. I'm really excited to be getting down to Chattanooga. There you have it, the 4 sites that we've acquired in the last 6 months. We have several more under contract right now. We are actively doing more projects. And like I said, constantly raising capital. If you're interested in investing in commercial real estate, maybe you want passive investments or an alternative asset class that's not necessarily stocks and bonds, and you don't really have the time or the need or want to go run your own commercial real estate deals, reach out. Would be happy to talk to you. We've got some really neat projects going on here in Tennessee. And that's it for this week's vlog. We'll see y'all next time.